And joining us live in studio, she is at the news desk, Kate Shimke of Darling Hill. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We were just playing, coming back from the break there, we played Break Free, one of the amazing songs that you sent. And that's from your, is that from your most recent EP?
It's actually from my only EP. It's from my debut EP.
Oh, very good.
It's
very
kind
good.
of like a sampler. It's not really all that cohesive necessarily, but that's because I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants.
I gotcha.
When I walked in the studio.
Yeah, that's a long song. I love how it builds.
Thank you.
Really good. Yeah. Jay Bello, of course, from the band Chasing the Devil in the chat room. He says, great tune, Kate.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see. Also, yeah, you've been getting some love in there while that was playing. Trying to back. Oh, J-Fed from Vermont says, I dig this song. Yeah, Isaac Banks from Greensboro, North Carolina says, awesome song. Getting a lot of love in there. So very good. Very good.
That was probably my most cathartic song. I kind of went in there with no agenda, but that song I didn't want to like edit too much with it. I knew it was long. I knew it was going to be real dramatic and theatrical, and I just didn't care.
Yeah.
So I was like, this song's really long, and I'm like, I'm not interested, because when I went in there, a lot of the songs were, I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. And that one, though, I knew for sure that I wasn't going to cut back. If anything, I was going to add more. So it's kind of the experience. It's almost like two songs in one.
Okay.
There's like this intro and then this like epic build, like you said. It starts really simple and then ends with this basically Kaylin Chase screaming. So.
Yeah. DJ Steve is in the chat room from Retro Spectrum Radio, and he says, good afternoon, Matt. Great song. And, yep, you're getting a lot of support. Hello to Lee Rensky. That's a new name in there. I don't know if that's a fan of yours.
No, I
hello,
actually,
Lee.
I'm fairly new. So this is kind of like my first time really being exposed.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I'm on all streaming platforms, but like, unless people don't know you exist, so please, all these people, please subscribe. I'm on Spotify, TikTok, all the streaming platforms.
Yep. Absolutely. Do you want to tell us more about that song "Break Free"? I read a little bit in your bio on your website, but
sure, it's it's probably the most. How do I put it in a nutshell? So to speak.
Yeah.
Basically, it's if you listen to it, you can kind of get the vibe. But about let's say 9 years ago, I moved back home from Maryland and experienced just a real bad thing. It was just like one bad thing after another. It was just all the bad things that could happen to somebody happened to me in like a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I was really broken down. I was an alcoholic. I was arthritic. I was newly divorced. I was on a rebound with a real abusive guy. And my dad was passing away from cancer. So it was just
geez.
I was literally in the gutter. I was in that moment.
That's a lot.
And some of it was brought on by my own alcoholism. Some of it I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But basically, the reason why my name is Darling Hill is because I experienced an assault on that road, but I actually also live on that road now. And so when I was healing after this traumatic assault, I decided to put down the bottle and pick up an instrument.
Yeah.
And decided to start my life over. I had a lot of support. And so I just started playing music and just really becoming obsessed and addicted to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up writing this song, about my history with my father, instilling me self-love and courage and empowerment and, just warning me of all the things in the world that you can encounter that are dangerous, but to hold true to yourself. And it ends with this moment of break. I broke free from those chains. Basically, I broke free from the alcoholism. I broke free from the abuse. I broke free from all of that. And now I live on the other end of the street on Darling Hill. And I live in a little cabin in the woods. And that's where I fostered my music. That's where I fostered my art. So now every day I wake up and go and leave the house, I see the place where I really hurt, but I also see the place I heal. So,
Right. Wow.
So this song is very cathartic. When I brought it to the studio, that's why I was so hell-bent on it being just left alone and just see what manifests around it. So the producer in the studio knew exactly what I was putting down and helped me create that environment and that vibe.
So that was the first song you recorded for the EP, or
actually the first song I recorded was Quiver.
Okay.
I went to Nashville twice. So I went to Nashville. My girlfriend, who is a fabulous agent for Granite State Blues Society and a booking agent for Blues Pros. But she works for blues musicians, and I'm not blues, but she was like the lantern in the dark for me. She knew.
Yeah.
She's like, look, I know these people in Nashville. Go to Nashville, just try it on. And I went down there, and the producer squeezed me in.
Yeah.
And I did Quiver and Garden of Crowns. And Quiver really lit me up, though, because I put down the acoustics.
Yeah.
You know, I still play guitar. You can hear me in the back, but I really wanted to dabble with like the buttons and the knobs and the synth and like all the samples and get out of that folk rut, because as much as I love folk music, I grew up with it. Like I really wanted to break free of that.
Yeah.
And find my own voice. So like people are always asking me, what's your genre? And I'm like, I don't really know yet. But when I went to Nashville and sat next to a producer who could pull those sounds out of me and create them, that's when I got really excited. So I went back and finished, spent about 8 days in the studio and finished up with the other tracks.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, our guest yesterday, Dakota Smart, also recorded in Nashville.
I watched him yesterday.
Yeah. He's amazing,
he's
isn't
great.
he? Yeah.
He's what, 5 nominee? Is he the one?
With the New England Music Awards. Yeah,
that's
five-time
impressive.
nominee. Yeah, just amazing. Yeah, what a voice on that guy, too.
Nashville's magic. You know, there's something about going down there that my life is different now that I've been back here.
Yeah.
You know, I've been immersed in the local music scene at probably the most local level I could, and I was just itching for something else. And when I went to Nashville and I didn't even care about anything outside the studio. There's a lot of cool stuff, like John and June Cash were buried down the street. Like I was really close to the music history, but all I wanted to do was just be in the studio and create.
Yeah. Miriam Banish in the chat room says, amazing music. She has a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny too, because some people, I assume, still have kind of this idea that, oh, Nashville, that's all about country music. And it's like, no, there's all kinds of music being made there. And
that's what I thought too. I thought the same thing. And then the more and more I started meeting local musicians, you know, some of them were coming back from Nashville. I'm like, wow, I thought you would have to go to New York, Boston, LA. But I guess from what I'm hearing, there was like this mass exodus from LA of producers to Nashville. They just I don't know what happened, but a lot of people came to Nashville. And it's so a little surreal because there's like really iconic musicians just walking around everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like I had to pinch myself. I'm like, I had to remind myself where I was. It's like, wow, they're just like hanging out. Like, you know, like it was just wild. It was really wild. Did
you have a chance to get on a stage anywhere while you were there?
No, but I got to see some shows, you know, because I went with friends who know the scene. I went to a couple really cool, like low key places to see some, like Leroy Powell was one. At the Underdog, the 5 Spot. There are all these cool, you know, local joints you could go to, and like everywhere you go, the music's great. Yeah. But no, I didn't get on the stage down there.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't even think I knew what I was even doing in the studio at that point.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to, yeah.
So part of the EP was recorded there.
Whole EP.
Oh, the whole EP was done there.
I just did it in I did it in 2 trips.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Yep. Cool. And when did this come? I think you said already, but when did this come out?
I believe I dropped it in August.
Oh, okay. So not that long ago. This is. So you hadn't released anything prior to this.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, I've recorded. Yeah. And I've played gigs, you know, at like bars and coffee houses and some small events, but yeah, not really. I don't really have like a big band. You know, that's the thing. So that's the thing. I go to Nashville and I have this epic experience working with very qualified people in the industry. Like the supporting musicians on that album are top notch. Yeah. Like I was very lucky.
Oh yeah.
I'm still astounded every time I listen to it that I have the people on my album that I do. And if you go looking at my profile, I have links to who these people are. Yep. And now I got back home though, and I had a moment of like pure depression.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, you could ask my hubby, Aaron, like, I do have another half that comes with me on these things, but I wanted to fly solo today. But he can tell you, I got home, I was like riding this high, you know, and then I get home from Nashville and I listen to it. I'm like, I'm a fraud. I'm a fake. Everyone's going to know that I'm like, I don't sound like this. Like all I have is the guitar. I don't have a band. How am I going to deliver? You know, like all this anxiety built up. But then I recognized that like, there's no linear way. There's no playbook on how to do things. And like, I took a moment and an opportunity and ran with it. And now I'm applying myself, and I got a keyboard. I'm learning how to play the backing tracks. I'm starting. It lit a fire under my tuchus. Let's put it that way.
Oh, cool.
So,
Jennifer Christman, if I'm saying that correctly, is in the chat room, says, it has been beautiful watching Darling Hill grow. Keep blooming.
Oh, thanks, Jen.
Very nice. Very nice. Should we play, you mentioned Quiver. Should we give that one a listen?
Yeah, I got a handful of tunes that I feel like define the sound and the direction I want to go in. And Quiver, Break Free, and Damsel Disorder are the ones that I'm really proud of.
Let's give this a listen, and then we'll come back and chat more. If you're just tuning in, we have Kate Shimke of Darling Hill joining us here in studio. But this is called Quiver.
See you sitting there, drinking in my stare. It won't be long now, oh, you'll be mine somehow. I want you to lick my wounds. I wanna howl at the moon. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I see the stars in his eyes, and it's no surprise that the symbols on our souls have a common goal. They scream, there's a hole in me, a hole in me, a hole in me, where I go to hide. You know there's room for two, a painted blue, and here your fantasies won't die. Piece of you inside. My knees are shaky, shaky, shaky. Oh, and tongue between my teeth. My knees are shaky, shaky, shaky. Oh, and tongue between my teeth. And babe, there's something so familiar I cannot define. I think I found my own kind. About you. When will I see you again, boy? We don't have to make plans, we can leave it to fate. But babe, you know it's a fact. If we leave it up to that, oh, we might be too late. My knees are shaky, 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 oh, and tongue between my teeth. My knees are shaky, 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 oh, and tongue between my teeth. And babe, there's something so familiar I cannot define. I think I found my own kind. Oh, I think I found my own
Wow, that's cool. That is Quiver, Kate Shimke, also known, better known as Darlene Hill, and she is here with us live in studio at the news desk. And yeah, that's it's funny. We were talking earlier about genres and so forth, and yeah, I don't even know how I would describe that to someone if I was trying to describe what it sounds like.
I wouldn't know either. I was in the studio and I looked at the producer. I go, "What did we just do?" Like I literally, I go, "What is that?" He's like, "I don't know." And so when I went there, I was like, I looked at his portfolio. By the way, my friend who brought me there, her name's Rachel Barnard. She's a phenomenal booking agent and very supportive.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I want to hear what you sound like. I want to know too." And so when I got there, I looked at his portfolio, and he's worked with, Beck. He's worked with, I can't even think of it right now, a lot of people, but Beck stuck out to me because Beck is like out of the box.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can go in here and like ask him for the weird stuff. Like I want to get weird. I looked at him. I said, I want to get weird. These are the people I want to emulate. These are the sounds I like. I'm a big fan of Danny Elfman. I'm a big fan of like the synth, nostalgic 80s, weird, dark stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right. So I just got in there and we started playing with sounds and some of those were happy accidents, some of those moments in the song,
Yeah.
And I quite frankly don't even think it's finished. I actually left.
Really?
Oh yeah. If I had more time, I probably would have ruined it maybe. I don't know. But like some things you just got to let them be. They can develop over time, move on to something different. So
yeah.
Quiver was a song about just feeling weak in the knees over someone across the room you don't even know.
Right.
And you think you have something in common with them, or they make your heart like beat faster, or you just feel lusty for them, not necessarily love, but kind of quivery.
Yeah. Do any of these songs, I mean, did any of them come out like really different than what you had in mind when you first wrote them?
So Damsel Disorder was literally like right before I got in the car to drive to Nashville. We drove down there and I found a songbook from like 2016. And I was flipping through it and I saw like 2 verses and a chorus. And I had no idea what that was going to say. I had an idea in my head, I guess you could say, like a direction that I wanted to go in. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to, like, what do they say? Throw it at the wall and see what sticks. That's going to be the one I'm going to do this with. And before it was called Knives. And if you listen to it, you will know why. But I didn't want to be that literal. So I was looking at it and I remembered writing it. I was sitting in my kitchen and I was looking around the room. So because I was, I'll dip back into my past, I was pretty violently assaulted and it left me with some symptoms, and I'm not the first to discover that you have some magical powers after you've gone through such physical things. You tend to have situational awareness.
Yes.
You tend to have, you tend to want your back to the corner. You do it, you just do it naturally. It just comes with the territory. And so I was mad about that though at first. I was really angry. I was like, I don't want this burden. I want to just go places and feel safe and feel good about it. I was like, well, why don't I write a song about how I'm feeling, you know? And so I was just sitting in the kitchen and I recognized that I do notice where weapons are, like weapons was a big thing. Like, oh, that could be a weapon. This could be a weapon. But knives, I was like in the kitchen. Cool.
Yeah.
So when I walked in there, we kind of built the song together. And that was one that surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was real excited about that one because it was catchy. It was quick. And it was a little edgy, no pun intended.
Yeah. Miriam Banish in the chat room says, very powerful music. I love it.
Thank you.
She said, gives me chills. Oh, very cool. And our friend Charles Richardson from Florida also has joined us in the Facebook live chat. Are you actively performing these live yet, or are you still kind of figuring that out? Or?
Well, I mean, I'm open to bookings. I am working on, like, I've been practicing 2 times a week. I got my keyboard. I need a drummer. And I don't think I could get a drummer, overnight. So I get real shy about who I share my music with. And I really need to let that go. And if I want to break free of that. Yeah. But I do play out. I'm playing the Bull Run. Right now I'm just getting my foot in the door at the Bull Run, which is in Shirley, Massachusetts. I'm going to be playing in the Tavern, but they do have an event center there. Yeah. I would love to play more house concerts. If people want to book me for a house concert, I like those intimate environments more. Yeah. I am a recovered alcoholic, so I'm not a big fan of playing bars so much.
That makes sense.
Self-preservation kicks in, and I'm like, that's cool. I would love to play that, but I'll do it, but I usually get in and out of there. But I'm ready. I'm excited. So if anybody would like to book me, please go to my website, and I can be flexible, see what works.
Yeah.
They would get a version of Darling Hill. That would be me, my partner Aaron Durman, who plays guitar, and my friend Nicholas DeChico, who's playing bass and pretty much picking up the slack on everything else with the electronics and all that. So we are growing, but I don't have any intention of stopping.
Right.
So, any support we could get to be showcased would be great.
It's funny you mentioned needing a drummer, because it's something that's been a big topic on the show recently with musicians is, every drummer you talk to, it's like they're already in 10 different bands.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on with drummers too. They got the gear,
yep.
Just carrying the gear. And I live in a cabin in the woods that's 800 feet walk-in site only.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I live on a land trust, and we live according to the land. So it's really great for creating art and music, and I host house concerts in my backyard. So that's like a whole nother thing. That's how that's how I've nurtured myself. I created my own music community.
Yeah.
And so I would book, promote, and donation-based house concerts in my backyard for 9 years. And just getting the musicians to come and telling them, you have to carry your gear through a forest. And then, by the way, I don't even have a real bathroom. There's an outhouse. So it humbles the musicians real quick. And they either go, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait to do that. And they love it. And then I got others that are like, okay, and they're a little hesitant, but once they get there and they see the environment and they see how intimate it is, because I really am at the root of it. It's about the art to me.
Yeah.
Like, I love the whole marketing and like making the catchy songs and but to me, I mean, the whole reason why I created this was so I could not let my mind go to dark places. It's very, very typical. So I did it in my own backyard because I could, because I had the property. And so now, like, I could book myself in my backyard all day long, but I would like to get out and, if there's a drummer out there that just needs a workout routine.
Yeah. I always say my theory about why drummers are hard to find is because when you're growing up and you first become interested in playing a musical instrument, when you have to have the talk, with your parents about it, and if you say, well, I want to play drums, they're like, drums?
Really? What a full body experience that must be, though.
Well,
really, like watching. So I had Shaky Folks, real sought after drummer. In Nashville.
Yeah.
And he got in there and just ripped it up, like brought those songs to life. I was just lit. I was turned on. I've never gotten my rocks off so hard in any capacity than watching him play my music and wondering what it must feel like to really embody that full expression of like over here, over there, wow, that's just a full body physical experience that you're having. And, I'm willing to buy a drum kit and keep it in my house.
Right.
If someone would just come and play and practice for me and book out.
Right. Jenny shared the website in the chat room too, darlinghillmusic.com.
Thank you.
Who does your website, by the way? It's a really nice, I'm a web designer, so
Me.
Really, you did a nice job.
It took years of practice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. It took a long time of observing. So while I was honing my craft and learning how to play music and convincing myself that I could be different and still succeed.
Yeah.
I learned through other musicians, watching other musicians and booking them and promoting them and going to their shows and learning about the gears, behind the curtain and like all that stuff. And so by the time I was ready to do my own music, I wanted to make sure I at least looked like I knew what I was doing.
Right.
So far, I sound like I know what I'm doing. Now I look like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, let's, what was the song you just
Damsel Disorder
mentioned?
was the other one I sent you.
Yeah. You sent me the whole, we might have time to play all 5 tracks, but yeah, you had mentioned Damsel Disorder a few minutes ago, so maybe we should, give that one a listen next. And you said this is the one that was originally called Knives, but
and you'll know why when you hear it.
But you didn't want to go with the obvious title. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, now I'm kind of hoping I did do it because then like that meme with Britney Spears making the knife gestures. Have you seen that?
Oh, I have.
I'm like waiting for somebody to find my song on TikTok and make a meme with it.
Right.
But it's called Damsel Disorder.
All right, very good. This is Damsel Disorder, Darling Hill. Check it out.
Damsel in distress is what I do best. I know where all the knives are. 'Cause I know where all the knives are. Unfinished business has already left its scars. 'Cause I know where all the knives are. 'Cause I know where all the knives are. Thoughts turned into lyrics like some unnamed spirits. Oh, whoa. Picture my thoughts in the lyrics. Picture my thoughts in the lyrics. Don't let them harm you, bend you, break you. If they only knew your enemies lie within you. Witnessed your weakness, I held them close and kept them my secret. Now I know where all the knives are. Now I know where all the knives are. Adrenaline, taste it, it's my territory, I'll stake it. Oh, whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Don't let them harm you, bend you, break you. If they only knew your enemies lie within you. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Turn my thoughts into lyrics. Whoa. Turn my thoughts into lyrics. Whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Now I know where all the knives are. Whoa. Now I know what's in the lyrics.
Damsel Disorder is the name of the song. That is Darling Hill. And we have Kate Shimke of Darling Hill here with us live in studio. That's great. It's catchy. And I like how cheerful it sounds, you know.
I know, I like that.
The now I know where all the knives are. It's very cheerful.
Well, I would busk. I used to busk, so I started with a ukulele, and then I shifted over to a banjolele.
Really?
Which is basically the same thing, but I threw like a metallic string in the C chord.
Yeah.
And it gave it a twang. And like I did find it quite funny when I'd be busking at like Parker's Maple Barn or like on the side of the road that people would be like bopping their heads and I'd be singing like folk songs about murder and like cocaine and stuff.
Right.
So I kind of liked that. What's the word? That contradiction of peppy and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I dig that. No, that song really does it. That's cool. Jennifer Christman in the chat room says, a message from Ellen Shimke. She loves your music, watching you grow, and is so proud of you.
That's my mom.
Oh, very nice.
My family.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm. They've been very supportive.
Let's see. She also said from Judy Russo, how awesome it is that you are able to turn pain into purpose. Just love hearing your voice, whether it's talking or singing. So happy. Whoops. Oh, sorry. Oh, so happy you are now no longer a damsel in distress.
Yes.
Keep on rocking.
So these are people that have witnessed the whole Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
Started from the bottom, now we're here moment, you know?
Right. Yeah. Miriam Banish says, Mr. B. Gentleman Rhymer plays what'd you call it? A banjolele?
Yeah, I played a banjolele, yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, me neither until I didn't want it. Like, I liked the ukulele. It got me started. It got my fingers used to playing strings. But
that was your first instrument?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And I got kind of sick of it, and I noticed when I started playing guitar that I sounded better vocally. There was more notes to blend with. I could experiment more vocally. So I started to, develop my voice, which quite frankly, it's, I've been told that, it might be what sets me apart. I do sound very different, but because of that, I was always very not confident, because I have a lot of really talented friends that are their range is really good. They sound top notch. And I always, you're going to compare yourself.
Oh, of course.
Even, no matter what. So I knew that I didn't sound like most people. I was very aware, but I just decided that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do this for me first.
Yeah.
That's what all this was about for me. I got real selfish. And the opportunity to go to Nashville was very, very expensive. Just the travel expenses alone were very expensive, but it was a very defining moment. It was really, a good thing.
Is it challenging to recreate those songs live? I imagine they change,
Yes.
right?
Yes, they do. I mean, now actually I perform it better now that I've heard it through a big production studio. I do have more confidence, but I don't have like a backup vocal. Like I said, I don't have that drummer, but I still have that energy, vocally. My vocals do just keep getting better. I'll pat myself on the back there. So, it's definitely it was a learning curve coming back there. And I once again, I didn't want to let it stop me. I had a moment where I dipped and I was like, I'm a fraud. I'm this, I'm that. Everyone's going to know. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Imposter syndrome, it sounds
That's
like.
exactly what it was.
Yeah,
But I was like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And I started looking into other musicians, and a lot of them don't create their music until they go in the studio, and they don't know what they're going to sound like, and then they figure it out later. I think Blaze Foley was one. I've been learning a lot about Blaze Foley. I've been real captured by his story, and he even said, he goes to the studio and creates it, and then he would hire musicians later to emulate that. So when I can afford all that, I will. But right now, it was like a goal. I'm 40 years old. It was a 40th birthday thing that I did, and fortunately my husband was very supportive, watched me go through all this. My husband also works in audio, so he was very interested in just going in general. So he's a microphone designer for Earthworks Audio.
Oh, no kidding.
So when we went, there was this other whole agenda, to see, because quite frankly, the gear that I used was very iconic. Some of the gear I used was used by Scott Weiland, a very famous microphone. I don't know. He got real excited about the microphone. All the guys were excited about the microphone in the room. I was just happy that Scott Weiland sang into it. That's all I cared about.
Right.
But there was this back end history of technology that this microphone's never been made the same way. It was like a Newman U47. I don't know. It was real special.
Yeah.
But all I was hung up on was Stone Temple Pilots. But
Yeah.
I was like, you're telling me Scott Weiland spit into this? Okay, cool. So,
Right.
so that's all I needed to get jazzed.
Yeah.
So he got to see, from an audio engineer perspective, a real high-end recording studio. He's seen it before, but it's been a while for him. So
now, are you already thinking about the next one?
Absolutely. I already got songs. I want to go there so bad. I want to go right back. There's a lot of studios in New Hampshire that I'm not going to pretend don't exist.
They're everywhere. Yeah.
They are kind of tucked away.
Yeah.
And I did work with a real I don't know if you've ever met Charlie Chronopoulos. He's a phenomenal local musician.
I'm very aware of him. I don't think I've met him. I don't think I have.
You should.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to go to Nashville before the lockdowns, and then the lockdowns happened. And then I just resigned myself to never going to Nashville. I thought it was a pipe dream. Silly me for thinking I could go. And so I just kind of refocused locally. And I met Charlie Chronopoulos. We're part of an art community. And I met him through the art community, and he's very, very humbling, very grounded, down-to-earth person. But he's phenomenal on stage. So I was a little intimidated at first, but when I met him, I was like, hey, how do you feel about recording me? So I went up, and I spent about a year with him, and he approached me from a very gentle angle where he just put me in the room and let me play live, and he worked with me, and just having that experience with him, by the time I was done, Nashville came back on my radar, and I had an opportunity to go, so I went. So I give a lot of credit to Charlie Chronopoulos for being my coach through that. And if nobody's any of your listeners haven't heard him, go check him out. He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. And maybe I can give you his contact and he can be on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Because like I said, I've always been aware of him. It seems like his name has come up.
Yeah,
on
he
the
actually
show.
got played locally. Obviously it wasn't this one or else you would know, but he was played in a local station. And I know he plays around Manchester and Concord.
Yeah, yeah.
But worth your time for sure.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Are you writing a lot? Like, do you have a lot of song ideas?
I have about, I have one that's literally called Back Burner.
Yeah.
That I haven't recorded. I have one that I did record in Nashville, but I wasn't happy with it. You know, it was like one of the tracks I did where I was like, it wasn't hitting the mark.
Oh, okay.
So I probably have about 6 songs in my books that I could probably go back down and record if I wanted to.
Yeah.
If I had the money.
Yeah.
Or find another studio. You know, once you go to Nashville, I feel like it's like, you know, it's kind of like crack. Once you go, you want to go back. You know, you get a taste and you want to go back. And like I said, the studio musicians there are like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did have a really great connection with the producer down there. So I do feel like it was like, I compared working with Zach from Wild Feather. It was Wild Feather Recording right outside of Nashville.
Yeah.
And he, you know, he really cares about your music. Like it's intoxicating how much he cares.
Yeah.
Like, and he will do whatever he can to make sure that he gets that sound.
Yeah.
And it's like, I told my husband, I was like, it's like I got out of class and it's playtime. And I get to play in the playground with Zach all day long. Like it was euphoric. Like it was just so much fun. So I'm kind of addicted to working with him, but I would like to broaden my horizons and work with producers locally here as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Are there any, so there's a song that you did there that didn't make it onto the EP. Are there others or just that one that you decided not to put on there?
No, that was the only one that I actually attempted to record that didn't go on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to record Back Burner. It's like about being the back burner in a relationship. There's a song called Backbone for the Backlash, which is basically, I didn't know it at the time when I wrote it, but to put that one in a nutshell, it's basically about cancel culture and just doing it anyway and saying what you want to say anyway. And, you know, no matter what, you know, because that's just the world we're living in now. No matter what you say, someone's going to get upset.
Of course, yeah.
So long as you have love in your heart, right, all that Buddhist crap, you know, as long as you know, as long as you can sleep at night knowing you're a good person, then do it. Then see what happens.
Yeah.
So that song I really did want to record, and I just wasn't happy with. I just didn't like it. I was like, no, it just didn't feel right. So I would like to re-record that one as well.
When that happens, does Zach is his name?
Yes.
Does he? What is he like? When you say to him, you know, I don't think this one's working out. Does he try to talk you into keeping it? Does he try to help you figure out what's not working, or does he just say, "Okay, we'll move on"? Like, what happens in that scenario?
Well, in this scenario, I could tell you in other scenarios, if something didn't hit the mark, like say on Quiver or Break Free, I could tell him, and we would, you know, work and calibrate. And there it is. What happened with Backbone for the Backlash was it was almost like I tried to squeeze too many songs in at once. So this one just didn't develop as well as the others, and to put it in with the other ones would have been like Bad News Bears. It would have been like, because like if you do play my other songs, you're going to notice, your listeners are going to notice it's very different from what you just listened to. So the last 2 songs on my EP are very folk oriented. They're very folky. And so Backbone for the Backlash was also very folky. It had like this Irish folk vibe to it, and it just didn't hit the mark, and we just didn't have time. Just didn't have time. And I told him, I said, if I can go back, you know, which is a shame because Kaylin Chase gave background vocals for that, and Kaylin's worked with Korn, he's worked with Melissa Etheridge, he's worked with Chris Cornell. That's why when you hear those tracks with him backing me up vocally, they sound so epic. You know, and they do hit that mark. But there was just something about this one we just didn't have time. I needed to scoot. I needed to come back to New Hampshire. I couldn't stay anymore. So it's on his radar if we were to ever approach it again.
Okay. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have time to fit another track in. I know I think we played the 3 that you wanted to make sure that we did, but you did send me.
If I had to pick the last one, I'm gonna and this one will go out to my family because this song is called Garden of Crowns, and this song is actually the song that my agent friend heard, and she said you need to take that song to Nashville. It's beautiful. So when I came back home, I met the love of my life, Aaron Durman, and I was getting ready to marry him, but I was also really sad because my father was no longer with us. He passed away within like 3 weeks after I moved back home.
Oh, wow.
And so there was this weird mix of I had this weird mix of joy because I survived this attack and I survived all these awful things and I was getting out of these bad things, but my family and I were also still grieving.
Yeah.
So I was trying to write a song to express how I feel. That's what I do. Instead of picking up a bottle, when I start getting those feelings, I'm going to pick up a pen and paper and just do that.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at my pictures of my mother on her wedding day, and she was wearing a daisy crown. And I like the theory of the circle of life and love, and when something ends, something new begins.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I would play this for my friends, Rachel Barnard heard me and she goes, take that to Nashville. She's like, I do wedding catering on the side. I'm telling you, that song should be played at every anybody who gets married is going to want to play that on their wedding day. So I would like to dedicate, this to my mom and my sister and anybody else in my family who may have gone through tough times. Just know it does get better. The only way out is through, and things are secular. And
oh yeah, yeah.
And this is homage to my experiences growing up. Listen to my father. My father was a musician. He was a bass player, and he was very much immersed with the Appalachian sound and the folk sounds and Johnny Cash and May the Circle Be Unbroken and all these heavy stringed instruments. So it was a lot of fun to play this in Nashville.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, by the way, Jennifer Christman in the chat room says, Garden of Crowns, story of our family's love. So thankful you wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. And by the way, Quincy Raymond, also known as Quincy Lord, is in the
Hey, Quincy.
is in the Facebook live chat. Yeah, he was on the show.
I just
the
watched
other
him.
day.
Yeah, I saw that he was on. I listened to you, Quincy.
Yeah, no, he
Much
was
love.
fantastic.
He's played at my house before.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
He really worked my crowd. Yeah.
Oh, very
My
cool.
family got to see him. So if my family's listening, Quincy's listening as well. He was on the show last week.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. All right. So let's give this a listen. So this is Garden of Crowns. This is Kate Shimke, better known as Darlene Hill. And she was just telling us all about it. So let's take a listen.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
She wore daisies on her wedding day. Love-link stems, that's here to stay. They're a constant gift for tabletops to prove that their love won't stop or ever lose. A fastened crown of flowered weeds made by children who run through trees. A daisy crown will be worn by daughters of a queen and little girls who were never heard and unseen. Tell me, love, what can we leave behind? For when we die and lie side by side, side by side, plant seeds, pray with the sun. You know our story's ended, theirs has just begun. They'll be watered when the tears start to flow. And in our grave, a garden of crowns will grow. A daisy crown will fall fast apart, leaving love strong in our minds and hearts. But just when you think it's dead and over, our garden of crowns comes to life with clover. Da 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 da.
I love it. Garden of Crowns. Darlene Hill and Kate is here with us in studio. That is great. DarleneHillMusic.com is the website if you want to learn more about Kate Shimke and her project, Darlene Hill, and the EP. And fantastic. I love it. Great stuff. Do you have any do you have any live shows coming up that you want to mention? Are you going to be playing out?
Well, I hope that I get some gigs between now and my gig at the Bull Run. So I do have a gig at the Bull Run on December 30th. So you can pregame your New Year's Eve with me at the Bull Run. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I've never been.
It's in Massachusetts, so I'm aware. I'm like in New Hampshire, but like we're right on the border, right?
Yeah.
So it's in Shirley, Mass. It was built in like 1770 something. It's got a lot of history to it. There's several different rooms to it. There's like function halls, and there's a lot of weird folklore affiliated with it. There's like an ego pantis on the wall. I'm not going to tell you anything else about it. You got to go look. And so I'm really excited to play there. I'm hoping that'll bring me more opportunities. So no, I just finished some gigs at Marco's on Main and Air. So once again, for some reason, I keep getting pulled to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely open and willing to book in the area for sure.
I think years ago I worked at, do you remember Strawberries?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We sold tickets there, and I feel like Bull Run was one of the venues that we
It's a
sold
hot
tickets
place.
to. Yeah.
I was real tickled. So my good friend Nicole Ruggiero from Marty's Driving Range is right down the street from my house, and I had the privilege to play her end of the year local music day. So I went and played there, and in doing that, I got a gig at the Bull Run as well. So I do just got to get out of my comfort zone, get out of my little cabin in the woods, and get out there. Like I said, house concerts are my jam. You know, I really like house concerts. If people know what that is, it sounds pretty self-explanatory. But there's some planning involved. So if that's something if you would like to host me, it's like a Tupperware party, but with music, you know?
Yeah.
So if you are interested in hosting that and you have the right accommodations, let me know. Hit me up at info@darlenehillmusic.com or any of my social media platforms or my website. You know, you can find me anywhere online.
And if you're a drummer.
And if you're a drummer and you like what you heard, I really need some support there, of course.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And like I said, I'll buy the kit. So you don't have to haul it down my trail.
And is there a maximum requirement in terms of how many other bands they can be in?
I mean, so long as I'm number uno, you know.
You go. That's how you do it.
Oh, it's all right. I'm willing to be flexible. I mean, I played just with my guitar for years, so you know, I can wing it for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Kate, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I love the project, Darlene Hill. Really good stuff. And DarleneHillMusic.com.